We recently had a huge trade in the NFL with Russell Wilson heading to Denver, and I saw some comments on the recent video of, hey, could you do a reaction video to that? And in some ways, this will be it. We will be doing a first round mock draft post Russell Wilson trade, but also please know this will be post NFL Combine, and I hope you guys enjoy. Seattle is now back in the top 10, and Denver is out of the first round until 2024, so without further ado, let's begin. Jacksonville is on the clock, and I have been saying this for a little over 2 months now, and the pick, not surprisingly, does not change. And unless they specifically come out and say, look, we are not taking him, then it will stay this way until late April, and they indeed make Evan Neal the first overall pick. This is a bad football team, and while adding a pass rusher would be nice, so would protecting your investment in Trevor Lawrence. The Lions will have their choice of pass rushers at number 2 overall, and will they go with a hometown guy or Kayvon Thibodeaux from Oregon? For both Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon, the NFL Combine was very much a just don't mess up what you have going and you will be good to go until draft night, and neither one of them did anything to hurt themselves or hurt their draft stock. Detroit has done a lot of right so far since Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes became the head coach and GM, and I expect that to continue, and I do think Aiden Hutchinson is the pick. With both Jacksonville and Detroit, I do think there is a general sense of where these teams would like to go with their draft selections. And with both of these teams, it makes a lot of sense, as Neal to Jacksonville and Hutch to Detroit, for me personally at least, have been plug them in and move on with the mock draft. But for Houston, there is no general sense of direction with where they'd like to go with this pick, and I guess you could also say that for their franchise as well for that matter. But this is a team with a lot of holes on their roster, and after a good combine, we are giving them Kayvon Thibodeaux from the University of Oregon. The New York Jets are on the clock, and while I do not think a trade happens here, I would like to go ahead and say there will be no trades in this mock draft. We will be having Seattle pick at 9 because that is where they select now, but if you're hoping for one, then that is a little spoiler. The pick here for the Jets is tackle Ike Ekwonu from North Carolina State. Ekwonu makes a ton of sense to the Jets for several reasons, but it most importantly boils down to helping the run game and then, of course, helping out Zach Wilson. While they aren't back-to-back number 1 overall picks, Jacksonville bad, they have had back-to-back picks in the top 4. Help your young quarterback out. Next is the New York Football Giants, and this is a very tough selection to make. You could easily slot them a tackle like Charles Cross after the year they had offensively, or you could help out the defense and have Sauce Gardner be the first pick of the Joe Schoen era, and that's ultimately what we are going to do. I do not want to force a pick for them like a Cross or even a Trevor Penning, who I do believe is a tier down from Charles Cross, even though they need help on the line. I could very much see this being a trade-up spot for a quarterback for any team really, given Carolina is picking at 6, but for today's mock, we give them Sauce Gardner. With Carolina on the clock at 6 and the board having broke the way it has, I realize I just said a team may trade up in front of them to get a quarterback if another team loves one, and that is a possibility. However, I do think Carolina will have a little bit of PTSD from last year's draft when they did not take tackle Rashawn Slater, and I do think J.C. Horn will be a very good player, but Slater is an absolute beast, and with Charles Cross staring them in the face, I don't think they make the mistake 2 years in a row. I do want to let it be known that there is a possibility they take a quarterback, and I will start to include other draft pick possibilities, but for today's video, we give them Charles Cross, tackle, Mississippi State. The G-men are back on the clock, and with the new regime, I want to emphasize they are in a unique position relative to other NFL franchises. 2022 for Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll will be in a lot of ways a free pass for them, barring a 2-15, 3-14, or worse record. The Maras know they have Daniel Jones as their current quarterback, who is not their guy as it was a Dave Gettleman pick, so there's no need to reach for a quarterback and to draft one, just to draft one. And this factors into their selection here, because I think they'll opt to go with the best player available, and to them that is Georgia edge Travon Walker. Sure, Trayvon may not be the most refined player as a pass rusher at this point in time, but they're in a division where they run the football a lot, and that is where Walker's strengths are. The Eagles with Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders, the Commanders with Antonio Gibson, and you can even toss Taylor Heineke into that, and the Cowboys of course have Dak, but they also have Zeke and Tony Pollard. And the thought with this pick as well is Trayvon develops into a player that will eventually become a good pass rusher, similar to the Rashawn Gary trajectory. Atlanta is up, and with the team that selected Kyle Pitts, over Micah Parsons last year, although that wasn't directly over Micah Parsons, this is a team that, quite frankly, even with the suspension of Calvin Ridley for the full year, which, by the way, I don't expect that to stand, I kind of just want that on the record, I do expect Atlanta to go defense. And with a player as unique of a player that is, and as a prospect in Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame, and with him staring them in the face, I do believe this is the pick. And for an alternate selection that could very well happen, Jermaine Johnson, edge, Florida State. But Atlanta goes with Kyle Hamilton. Seattle is up, and having traded Russell Wilson, the easy thing to do here is slot them a quarterback. And I want it on the record, the only way I don't see them going the quarterback route at 9 overall is if in free agency they sign someone like a Mitch Trubisky and try and bring him in for a year and see how things go. Love or hate Mitch, the hand he was dealt in Chicago was bad. And I don't think he'll become a Mahomes or Watson, the other players in his draft class, but I also don't think he had a fair chance to succeed. But without the free agency knowledge in our back pocket that we will have come draft day, we will be giving Seattle a quarterback today, and they will be selecting Matt Corral in today's mock. The Jets are back on the clock and very much in need help at the wide receiver position. However, they have a chance to get one of the best players in the draft in Jermaine Johnson from Florida State, and that's who we have them taking. Pairing Jermaine with Quinnen Williams and Carl Lawson, who's coming off an injury, would be terrific and help this pass rush out in a lot of ways. This pick is made under the assumption, Jets fans, that we attack the receiver or even tight end position in Trey McBride at the top of the second round. The receiver class is deep, and there are plenty of good ones available, but there is a bigger drop-off from Jermaine Johnson as a pass rusher than there is from Garrett Wilson to a receiver in the second or even third round, and that's to praise Jermaine more than it is to slander Garrett Wilson, by the way. Washington is up, and they need their guy. There's no dilly-dallying around and dancing around the position anymore. I hate to be so short with this positional breakdown and this draft breakdown, but we have them taking their first quarterback in the first round since Robert Griffin III back in 2012, and that is the product of Western Pennsylvania in Kenny Pickett. The Minnesota Vikings are on the clock, and the board did not break out in their favor. There are a variety of ways they could go, which also would include Malik Willis, quarterback from Liberty, but with the pass rush being as big of a problem as it's been over the past couple of years, especially when Danielle Hunter is out, and given that we do not know the current status of the future of Danielle Hunter with the money and the contract and everything, we are going to go ahead and give the Minnesota Vikings David Ojabo, edge rusher, Michigan. The Cleveland Browns are now on the clock, and they are in a much different position than they were a year ago at draft time. Now it is do everything you can to build around Baker Mayfield, and if Baker Mayfield is not the quarterback for Kevin Stefanski and company, then the next guy will have a lot of help to work with, such as Nick Chubb, potentially Kareem Hunt if he re-signs, of course David Njoku, who could also sign a long-term extension, and the first-round pick that we're giving them in today's video, Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State. There's always players that just fit teams, and you think of Josh Allen, Buffalo Bill, he fits it. Aiden Hutchinson, Detroit Lion, to me he at least fits it. And this next player absolutely fits being a Baltimore Raven, and that is Derek Stingley, corner from LSU. Having a corner duo of the future of him and Marlon Humphrey, and of course we can't forget Marcus Peters, who will be coming back off of a torn ACL in 2022. I love this corner trio, and with an edge class as deep as it is, they could very well get an edge in the second round to pair with their first round pick from 2021 in Odafe Oweh. But for today's video, Derek Stingley, corner. The Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock with back-to-back picks at 15 and 16, and in all honesty, either of the selections, it could go in reverse order here. But for today at 15, we are giving them center Tyler Linderbaum, what better situation to walk into than learn from one of the best centers and a Hall of Fame center, one of the best centers in the 21st century, a Hall of Fame caliber center, and Jason Kelce he would get to learn behind. Jason is getting old, and worst case, you could play Tyler at guard opposite of Jordan Mailata for the first year, and then we give them wide receiver Treylon Burks. And in full disclosure, I do think the picks could be reversed, but those are picks 15 and 16. Somehow, someway, the big fella made it to pick 17, though with trades and with actuality, I do think he will not make it this far come draft night, but it is Jordan Davis. He's 6'6", 340 pounds, 4'7", 840. The Chargers need interior defensive line help. What a line it would be with him in the inside and then Joey Bosa on the outside. Let's make it happen. The New Orleans Saints at pick 18 are up, and if the board plays out like this, even with a torn ACL with this prospect, I think the Saints sprint to the podium. Jameson Williams from Alabama would be a perfect fit on this offense, assuming Michael Thomas comes back. I love this fit. I love Jameis Winston, Michael Thomas, and Jameson Williams. Let's make it happen, New Orleans. The Philadelphia Eagles are back on the clock, and if the board plays out like this, this is a prime position for other NFL teams to trade up in front of the team that has the 20th pick, which of course is the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, in a mock with no trades, after giving the Eagles 2 offensive players, we are going to go with a defensive player, and that player is corner Andrew Booth from Clemson. Now, with the Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock and with this player falling into their lap, it is a very easy decision. Mason Rudolph, Dwayne Haskins, neither one of those guys are the answer, and it's determined if this guy is the answer, but we are giving them in today's mock Malik Willis from Liberty. The Buffalo Bills just put up 47 points on the New England Patriots in the playoffs, and there is no doubt about it, Bill Belichick was thoroughly embarrassed by that performance. So in the first round of the draft, 3 months later, a little over 3 months later, we're going to be giving them corner Trent McDuffie from Washington, though I would not be surprised if Nakobe Dean is the selection here as well. In a perfect world for the Las Vegas Raiders, Jameson Williams' torn ACL hurts his draft stock just enough to be able to get him here. Unfortunately, that did not work out for the Raiders in today's mock, so instead we give them Devontae Wyatt, defensive lineman, Georgia. The Arizona Cardinals are now on the clock, and with A.J. Green more than likely leaving in free agency, Christian Kirk is as well. DeAndre Hopkins is aging and coming off of an injury-plagued season, so we don't know how he's going to work out. And with Rondale Moore being the only true player you can count on at this point in time, we are going to help them out and give them wide receiver Chris Olave from The Ohio State University. America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, are now on the clock, and they need interior offensive line help. Hall of Fame guard Zach Martin, yes, I did say that. He is getting up there in age, so we're going to help them with a player that has risen a lot throughout the draft process, and that is Boston College guard Zion Johnson. The Buffalo Bills are up, and there's really not a lot of holes on their roster. So we're going to give them one of the best prospects available, and that is interior defensive lineman Travis Jones from UConn, who in his own rights had one hell of a combine. Unfortunately, it was overshadowed by the performance of Jordan Davis, but when you get a chance, go back and look what Travis Jones did. It was very good. The Tennessee Titans are now on the clock, and this selection, mainly at this position, may surprise some people. We're going to give them George Karlaftis, edge from Purdue, and here's why. They signed Bud Dupree last year to a 5-year, $82.5 million deal. What you need to know from that, Bud will be 30 years old next season. That is a big circle number in terms of a franchise. There's also an out in his contract after this year, and I don't think Bud is worth $16 million per year, and I think the Titans will soon find that out. Congratulations to Harold Landry on signing the extension yesterday, but we will give them George Karlaftis to pair with Harold Landry for the next couple of years. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now on the clock, and this part of their team was one of the league's best in 2021, and it was the offensive line. Free agency, though, could create some holes there, and we're going to address that. We're going to give them Texas A&M guard Kenyon Green. The Green Bay Packers are now on the clock, and this is after they re-signed Aaron Rodgers to a 4-year deal and franchise-tagged receiver Devontae Adams. This is also a team that, even though it's good that they have those boys back, they put up 10 points in a playoff game. So we're going to help them out and give them wide receiver Drake London from USC. The Miami Dolphins are now on the clock, and with a new head coach in Mike McDaniel, who is from the Shanahan coaching tree, who we know love very much to run the football. I think this makes a lot of sense with where we're going here. Dolphins fans, I'm sure you've been mocked to him if he falls this far, and we are giving them mean, nasty offensive tackle Trevor Penning. I think this pick makes a lot of sense. The Dolphins had a horrific offensive line last year, and with the emphasis that they will have on running the football with Mike McDaniel, I think the pairing of Penning and Miami makes a ton of sense. Trevor Penning to Miami. Well, Kansas City Chiefs fans, we are on the clock, and I'll just be quite honest with this. You're either going to love this, think, let's go, this is where we need, or why. There's going to be no in between here. And to cut the drama, it is wide receiver Christian Watson from North Dakota State. Absolutely love the player and think him with Mahomes would be something special. This is something Chiefs fans will not want to hear. Travis Kelce is aging, and of course Watson is a receiver, but Mecole Hardman has been pretty disappointing with what we thought he could have been in 3 years, and I don't like Byron Pringle that much. I don't think he's anywhere close to as good as what Christian Watson could be. Have Christian Watson, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce all on the field at once, and that spells one word for defense, and that is trouble. Alright, Cincinnati Bengals fans, we are on the clock after a very successful season, and congratulations to you guys on that success. But we nearly killed Joe Burrow in the process, so we're going to give him the best offensive lineman on the board, and that is offensive tackle from Central Michigan, Bernhard Raimann. Detroit Lions fans, were back on the clock in the Motor City, and after giving you guys Aiden Hutchinson at pick 2, which by the way, I'm going to probably go wire to wire with that. I don't think that's going to change. You know, you're starting to build the defensive line with Aiden, Aleem McNeil, and everything else that you have going on. You need to start building that back 7. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you guys Nakobe Dean, linebacker, Georgia. If Nakobe falls this far, I feel like the Lions have to take him at pick 32, as that would be quite the steal for them. So anyways, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it would mean the world. Also, if you didn't, let me know how much of an idiot I am in the comments. I always enjoy reading those comments. So anyways, until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys. Alright guys, I'm gonna be honest here. I released this video a couple of hours after the Commanders traded for Carson Wentz. Yeah, that sucks. So if you're 17 minutes into the video wondering why I had them selecting Kenny Pickett, I had this mock draft done prior to Wednesday afternoon when they traded for him. And if you're still around listening to me ramble, I appreciate it, and I definitely appreciate the time out of your day, and that would be why. So anyways, until next time, be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.